guys, Brother Enoch here, and the video title is Horror and Lucid Dreaming, and really it goes all over the place. There's quotes from H.P. Lovecraft and Edgar Allan Poe, and the video is really being made to replace two previous videos that I've taken offline for various reasons, and I'll be quoting from Lovecraft's A Thing in the Moonlight and Polaris, as well as Poe's A Tale of the Ragged Mountains. And there will be links to these stories in the video description, so if you haven't read them and would like to read them before they're ruined for you, just go ahead and pause the video and go read those now. Now, there will be a broader commentary on Polaris than the video title implies, and I'll be reading quite a bit of text. This video not just probably will, but will run longer than YouTube's time limit. I went back and took out more than half the slides, but it's still going to be pretty long. And I've been interrupted a few times as I was trying to make this video already. So if I get interrupted, I'll probably just hit pause and then come back where I was and try and edit it out. My apologies if some of that doesn't get edited out. Before we get started, I should define a couple terms. First, horror is a state of fear that may include shock or revulsion. Second, lucid dreams are dreams in which the dreamer is aware they are dreaming while they still dream. There are many ways dreamers may become aware that they are dreaming, but the surest route is through dreams of terror and death. At the very beginning of Lovecraft's essay, A Supernatural Horror in Literature, Lovecraft writes, "The oldest and strongest emotion of mankind is fear, and the oldest and strongest kind of fear is fear of the unknown. These facts few psychologists will dispute." Once these facts are taken into consideration, it should be no mystery to find that one of the oldest and most powerful tools of magic and shamanism is fear, terror, and horror. In ancient Tibet, magicians would evoke and invoke terrible deities and demons. The evocations would affect their dreams. When a magician encountered a fierce demon or wrathful deity in a dream, he had become lucid, hopefully. The resulting lucid dreams were meant to be practice for the state found just after death. So dreams of death are in a way initiatory. The relationship of dreams and death is summed up by William Shakespeare in Hamlet. "To sleep, perchance to dream, aye, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come, when we have shuffled off this mortal coil." The idea that we dream the visions of heaven and hell after we die, in the same way that we dream at night, is just fantastic. And we find this idea in several of Lovecraft's stories, including Celiphae, which I'll be making a video for pretty soon, right after this video. But in a culture that does not have anything like the tradition of Tibet, what do? What horror do you look for in your dreams to become lucid? The answer is whatever the fantastic, magical, visionary, horrific content of your own mind happens to be. Now, I met with Professor Enoch Bowen after one of his lectures, and he instructed me to make use of characters from comic books and horror stories. I didn't suggest it, he suggested it to me. The professor suggested reading Captain Marvel, Spider-Man, Batman, and the stories of Lovecraft. I have had horrific lucid dreams surrounding alien symbiotes, and had Professor Enoch tell me that this is the way man will evolve. Although that's interesting, the lucidity-inducing nightmares are of greater interest to me right now. And what better place to turn for terrific nightmares than Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft? I mean, those two authors have probably created more nightmares than all the jinn and wrathful deities combined. But it takes reflection and subtle suggestion to transform a nightmare into a dream of power. I believe these qualities are present in the stories of Poe and Lovecraft, but can I point to definite signs of metacognition or lucidity? Well, let's see. When looking for signs hinting at lucid dreaming in the writings of Poe and Lovecraft, you have to remember that even if the authors had known that term, lucid dreaming, most of their readers would not know what they were talking about. So the concept would have to stay vague or implicit, or an author could take the Doctor Who route. On the old Doctor Who, the Doctor was always explaining things to his female companion. The companion represented the viewer. And we find this approach used by Poe in his short story, A Tale of the Ragged Mountains. In this story, one character narrates his strange visions to another character named Dr. Templeton. The character narrates to Dr. Templeton a bit about a vision of an eastern-looking city, such as we read in the Arabian Tales. Then, apprehending an argument from Dr. Templeton and the reader, makes the following statements. You will say now, of course, that I dreamed, but not so. What I saw, what I heard, what I felt, what I thought, had about it nothing of the unmistakable idiosyncrasy of the dream. All was rigorously self-consistent. At first doubting that I was really awake, I entered into a series of tests, which soon convinced me that I really was. Now, when one dreams, and in the dream suspects that he dreams, the suspicion never fails to confirm itself, and the sleeper is almost immediately aroused. Thus, Novalis errs not in saying that we are near waking when we dream that we dream. Had the vision occurred to me as I described it without my suspecting it as a dream, then a dream it might absolutely have been. But occurring as it did, and suspected and tested as it was, I am forced to class it among other phenomena. Now, Poe's writing shows a familiarity with the practice of state testing. His character performs a series of tests confirming he is awake, and yet in a strange time and place and body. This familiarity suggests that Poe was somewhat familiar with lucid dreams, and few people would argue with this conclusion. Yeah, also in the quote you see that Poe states that when you become aware that you're dreaming, that you usually wake up right after that. But experienced lucid dreamers can get over this in time and experience. But what about Lovecraft? With his dreams and dream quests and dream books and dream priests, dream gods, was Lovecraft also a lucid dreamer? Now, cognition in dreams and visions is both implicit and explicit.